Hi everyone, welcome back from your break. I know that all of us are very excited to meet each other. I hope you got some snacks and that you managed to clear some emails. For those of you who are outside and are coming in, please grab your seats. We are going to begin right about now. In the meantime, can I invite the next panel to take your seats on the stage, please? Can I invite the next panel of speakers to be on the stage? And then thank you to the hotel staff for closing the doors. For those of you who are continuing to sip your coffees and have your donuts and puffs, you're making me hungry. I haven't had any. Okay. We're going to start now. Can I also have the moderator as well? Everyone's coming up? Great. Okay, so in the morning, we've covered quite a bit of breadth. We appreciated that, yes, unilateral controls, as they might be, as what the panel preceding had mentioned, it is really the reputational upshoring that is fundamental. And it's important for us to recognize that we can't shirk away these responsibilities. So with that said, we now segue into the next segment where we start off with panel 2. These are the chaps that are going to keep you away from lunch. So let's see, let's give them their undivided attention. The role of trade compliance professionals and officers in today's geopolitical landscape. Let's give them a round of hand. Huh? Okay. So I'm going to pass over the time to George, who's going to lead the panel and also introduce his panelists. Over to you, George.
Thank you, Jesu. A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have you here. And you might be surprised. I mean, all of you, most of you are trade compliance executive, leaders in the company. And as of today, why do we need to talk about what is the role of trade compliance officer? I think everyone knows today our international arena is extremely crucial. As just like this room is very, very cold, but in the international arena, I think we are in a very hot era where so many things going on surrounding us. So I think it is extremely important for us to know what is our current duty, especially being a trade compliance officer in a company. And earlier on, I think Feroz and the rest of the speaker has been talking about what is the due diligence. So perhaps this is the sessions we should exchange our understanding on how do you think a due diligence of a trade compliance officer should behave in your organizations, and at the same time how it helps to regulate the countries, the companies' regulations. With that, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my first panel. I will not read the details of its bio. It's already available in your CVent. First will be Mr. Alan Koo. He's a trade compliance officer from Alif Semiconductors Private Limited. Alan, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Koo. I am an industrial practitioner. Today, I'm happy to be here to share with you some of my industry experiences. Traditionally, the role of a trade compliance officer is to assess the company supply chain risks and implement measures to mitigate these risks. One of the cornerstones of export control is product classification. We need to determine if our product, services, software, and technologies are subjected to control. Technology control plans is important so we can properly export or deem export our technology. We need to screen our customers and visitors so that our products, services, software and technology are exported to the correct end user for the right end use in the right end use destination. Training is conducted so that the staff understand their roles and responsibilities. What can they do? What they cannot do. Finally, we have audits to uncover the gaps in our internal compliance program for continual improvement. With the rapid change in trade rules, compliance officers should reassess the company risks, re-examine their product classification to ensure and determine if their product, services, software and technology are subjected to additional controls. They need to review their technology control plan for adequacy. They need to screen their customers, rescreen their customers and visitors against the updated sanction list. The new trade requirements should be incorporated into their procedures and training materials as well as the audit checklist. Today, I would like to share 3 tips to add value to your role as a trade compliance officer. Tips number 1, implement effective corrective actions. In the course of your audit, you may uncover gaps that may be in the internal compliance program that may be caused by errors such as memory lapses, slips of action, or it may be caused by mistakes such as rule-based mistakes or knowledge-based mistakes, which may eventually result in violations such as routine violations, situational violations, or exceptional violations. A trade compliance officer should do an in-depth analysis of the root causes and implement corrective action to prevent recurrence. Tips number 2, conduct effective training. I believe the company here conduct awareness training and functional training, which is very good. As a certified trainer, I engage my trainee through experiential learning. First, I will share with them the theory, the spirit, and the intent behind the regulations. Then I will give them a real case study where they can apply the theory into practical application. I ask them, what is wrong with this case? And what should you do to mitigate the risk? In that way, they're able to connect the dots together. In my training, I serve not only to inform, but to transform as well. Tips number 3, have a very good relationship with the IT department. You know, trade compliance deals with a lot of documentation. Automation can really reduce your administrative burden. Of course, you must take into consideration what are the control technical data that cannot be shared. We will talk more of these 3 in our panel discussion. Before I conclude, I would like to say, a good compliance today means a great business tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan, for his excellent presentations. We shall now introduce the second speaker, Mr. Gumund Solomons Young. He is the APAC Trade Compliance Leader of Veolia Water Technologies and Solutions Singapore Private Limited. Gumund, please.
Good day, everyone. Today is a good day for us to gather here together to discuss about the role of trade compliance, because based on my recent experience when I meet up younger generation, when I ask them, do you guys want to learn trade compliance? Do you want to know how to do trade compliance? Do you know what they answer? No, it's too complicated. Yeah, so I'm Gimon Solomon Young. I'm the APAC Trades Compliance Leader for Veolia Water Technologies and Solutions, Singapore Private Limited. I've been in this role, in my role overall, about over 20 years in logistics, supply chains, and compliance. Half of my career is in compliance. I do notice that now the trade compliance role has evolved from a gatekeeper to a business enabler. In the past, in my earlier career as the trade compliance, we always be reactive, act siloed, and even become the internal police. I even have the experience when I call one of our customer service, when they receive my phone call, you know what they ask me? Sorry, what have I done wrongly today? Then I realized that, oops, then all the approach they have done all this time is wrong. It means like trade compliance become the police, then everybody afraid approaching us. Okay, so based on this, we have become the call center, right? We have become the call center. It is like we only do the post-event data analysis. After it happened, then we do analysis. Then we know. Then we need to know what has happened actually. Now, since then, for the past like couple of years, now it started to become business enabler. Why trade compliance now become business enabler? Because we become more proactive, looking at the regulations, advising the functions in the organization. We also do a predictive analysis by looking at pre-data. Data here inclusive of information, by asking people how you're going to do with the business, what you're going to do, how the material flow will be, how you're going to purchase from people. So that's how we need to ask more people. By having that, now the role has shifted to become business enabler, to enable business, to optimize the business. Because when reactive, we need to make sure we realize the business, but become business enabler, we need to optimize the business. And what are the main drivers? It's always start the complexity of regulatory. With the current environment, regulation can change anytime, right? Especially with current geopolitics. And the cost of non-compliance is getting higher. It is not just affecting the bottom line, it also affecting the company reputation, the image. And another thing that business always need to remember, that we have to be agile and respond to the market on time. That's why trade compliance role must shift to become the business enabler. So I always, in my current organization, I will explain to everyone when I provide training, there is no stupid or wrong questions in trade compliance. If you are unsure, always ask to make sure you have the proper guideline. Later, we have more discussion about this in a discussion panel. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gimon. Our last speakers for today's panel is Ms. Shafika Abdul Samad. She is the Principal Advisor of Trades and Customs in KPMG. Shafika.
Hi. Morning, everyone. So nice to be here, to be able to share my experiences with all of you today. So before I start, I have a question. How many of you here, just a show of hands, are doing only trade compliance role, solely trade compliance role? How many of you? Can I see a raise of hand? That's very few. It's not surprising, because 15 years ago, when I started on this role, I have no clue what the hell is trade and customs compliance all about. It's completely a foreign world to me. But I think today, having all of you here under this one roof is really great because it shows there's really a lot of interest and more talents are building up over the years for this particular role, and it's very important. In many organizations, trade compliance is like an unknown or unwanted child, and this is the reality, right? Often overlooked or misunderstood, treated as an afterthought, where people only look for you at the end of the transaction or when your shipment is being blocked or stopped by customs, right? In many organizations, most trade compliance person wear double hats or even triple hats. And managing compliance alongside other priorities such as tax, supply chain, procurement, sales, business development, and many more. It's just paperwork and red tapes. That's what most business look at it as, a role that is dealing with. Because of this, the role is rarely fully understood or given the visibility it deserves today. But in reality, trade compliance officer is akin to the eldest child in a family, the one who quietly keeps things in order and helps everyone else function smoothly together. Trade compliance connects legal, logistics, R&D, procurement, finance, supply chain, and sales, business development, ensuring all speaks the same language when it comes to regulation, risk, and responsible for trade and customs. Like the eldest child, ensuring the family's reputation stays intact, trade compliance protect the organization integrity and credibility in the global marketplace by adhering to both import and export controls, regulation, ensuring that every cross-border transaction upholds legal and ethical standards today. The role is key in balancing compliance while achieving organizational revenue and business objective, ensuring sustainable growth and facilitating trade responsibly. And this, I think, echoed what Singapore Customs mentioned today, ensuring revenue, facilitating trade. So while the trade compliance may not always be the star child, it is often one that upholds the family together. From the lens of a consultant where I am standing today, aside from interpreting just the regulation, the role is very key to support the trade compliance community, help organizations build compliance into their DNA. Similarly, I work alongside all functions with the legal, logistics, and many more because trade compliance touches every single function. We support companies with change management, identifying and mitigating risk, align strategies, and most importantly, spot opportunities that organizations didn't know they were missing out or even existed. Thank you.
Thank you, Shafika. Thank you, all the speakers. And before I open the question to the floor, I have prepared some questions which perhaps will be useful for everybody to discuss. You all have your mic together. Can I have my first questions? Well, I think everybody knows about current international situations where we have very critical geopolitical situations. And you see last week, the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur, after the signing peace agreement with, between Thailand and Cambodia, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Thailand were granted zero tariff for semiconductors. So you can see the changes overnight. And under this kind of situations, you as a trade compliance officer, how do you foresee or how shall your role be evolved in order to fit into the current situations? May I have your opinion?
My personal view is trade compliance officer can no longer be a keyboard warrior. You must be constantly on the ground to engage the different touch points in the supply chain so that any update can be effectively communicated and effectively implemented. For example, working with the HR to screen the visitors and the employees, working with the sales to screen the customers, working with the supply chain to determine the rules of origin. Every day you must look for them even if they don't look for you. Most importantly, you must be resourceful. You must regularly update policies that you see changes in regulations to them so that they understand and they always engage with you. Remember, engagement is very important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, for this question, under current geopolitical situation, how shall the role of trade compliance executive evolve? Like I mentioned just now, it should become business enabler. It means that we have to be more proactive in anything. Like Alan just mentioned, we can no longer be keyboard warrior. I do agree. Now, because we have a lot of information, we are in a information highway. So we have to grab all information as much as we can and process it and then feed it back to the business. It's very critical because we have to be agile. That's how the market demand now. We have to be agile. Yeah, so that's how we should move from the reactive to become more proactive.
I think the role of the trade compliance today doesn't change much from my perspective. I think for the many, many years, it has always been evolving anyway. So we try to keep abreast and keep up with the ever-changing regulatory environment. And what makes it more critical today is risk management because it has become a central pillar, right? Also, things like country of origin, it is becoming more and more important today. So there are critical areas that needs more focus, more than others, but it doesn't change. I think what we have been doing as trade compliance in the past stays the same today. You just need to keep abreast, keep up with the changes. Yeah.
I think very important area is it's no longer just about export control, not just about strategic trade management. Strategic trade management becomes one of the focal point of trade negotiations today. So you have to keep up your knowledge on strategic trade management. You have to understand what is the customs compliance. You have to understand what is the free trade agreements and so on and so forth, and particularly in terms of tariff. So I think this question most likely will be focusing on what shall the company or individual of you to participate in this area, particularly in helping the company in terms of risk management. Shall we move on to the next questions? Can I have the next questions? How can a trade compliance executive able to add value beyond regulatory compliance?
Besides the 3 points that I just mentioned, I would like to share that last year, every morning I will ask my brothers and sisters questions on trade compliance. Good news is, this year they start asking me questions every morning, which means I have embedded the compliance culture into the company DNA. So, be proactive rather than reactive. Anticipate what are the company new risks and offer solutions to help the company. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. So for this question, it's like for the trade compliance executive, we are not just nowadays not just focusing on regulatory. Like I mentioned in my introduction, we have to focus on business optimization. We have to optimize the business by helping to do the cost efficiency. How to do the cost efficiency? There are a lot of things. You can use a lot of custom scheme. You can use free trade agreement. You can even need to use proper Incoterms. It's very critical. And on top of that, how to avoid costs, unnecessary costs. If the cost is necessary, you cannot avoid it, but unnecessary cost, how to avoid it? As a trade compliance, is something that we can advise business. That's the way how we mitigate the risk as well. Because if we are able to mitigate the risk, it means that we help the business to reach customer faster, to be the market faster, to be ready to the market. And by having that, we help the business to optimize the supply chain. By having optimization of the supply chain, the whole business will be optimized.
Trade compliance, how do you add value? I would say I echo what Alan and Giman had mentioned just now, being proactive, identification of risk. But I think in today's environment, what is more critical is to be able to be a strategist, right? So to provide management with a foresight, what's coming with the latest updates? What are the things that you can do? What are the things that you can analyze? Where can you close the gaps? Do you have all this information at your fingertips? Yeah, so being proactive is not just about mitigating risk alone, but also to be able to identify potential opportunities in the midst of the crisis. I think this is very important to bring value to the business compliantly. I must finish my statement compliantly.
Thank you. I think this is very true. And I believe in today's business, balancing of both compliance, risk management, and revenue is very, very important, just like the tagline under the Singapore Customs. All right, let's move on to the third questions. Can I have the third questions? Yeah, how would you view or explore technologies, particularly like AI, and the geopolitics are shaping the future of the professions? Will your job be replaced by AI?
I want to say AI is already here. We must take AI seriously. We embrace AI not to replace us, but to amplify our capability. I use AI to find resources, but then I have to validate the information, or else it becomes fake news. I ask myself every day, do I want to be an AI augmented professional, or I want to be a retrenched trade compliance professional? But the good news is, there's something AI cannot replace, which is the human touch and the human experience, which is why I choose to engage my trainee, my staff individually. I not only share information with them, I share with them my experiences. I not only inform, I transform. If one day AI can do what I do, then probably I will be out of job.
Yeah, thank you. For the question number 3, I do echoing what Alan mentioned just now. So I just want to add on top of that, AI is a tool. And I can mention that AI is a very good tool for trade compliance. I've been using it. As a trade compliance, I know how to retrieve document, how to retrieve information, how to check information. That's how we also build a program by using AI. The AI built a program for us to do the analysis. So use AI to help your day-to-day administrative work. Repetitive work, get AI to do it. There are a lot of robotic process automation as well, software out there. So use the technology to consolidate the information for you. And maybe AI can help you when you want to make SOP. Ask AI for guidance, what is required, and then develop from there. It will help, it will reduce your time. On top of that, that's what Alan mentioned, AI cannot replace human touch. It's artificial intelligence. It does not have emotional intelligence. That's very critical. Because as trade compliance, when we talk to people, usually when like business come to you or your colleague come to you, I have this problem with the compliance, then you will feel the empathy. But when you ask AI, AI will just mention, sorry to know you have that problem. Tell me what can I do to help. It's just sympathy with you. It does not have empathy. By having empathy, it means that we know what they're facing, so we can position ourselves what needs to be done Right. So AI will not help you on that. So it's very critical to know that AI will not replace the function of the trade compliance. And please use it to get more information, because nowadays, like I mentioned just now, is the information highway already. It's highway, not in the past. So all information is just flow in out very fast. You can use AI to help you to collate the information, verify it, and then use it.
I think AI is a very important and powerful tool today, typically to reduce repetitive work, definitely, because you can train, it's machine trained. You can train the machine to repeat or to record or to keep certain information and to retrieve certain information, to help you do screenings, identify certain red flags, right? It's as good as the data and the logic that you cultivated into the system. But then again, you have to remember, it's always a robot and a machine, meaning if it's garbage in, it will be garbage out. So if you set certain rules in it wrongly, you will repetitively just use the same wrong set of rules. Again, regulations are moving quite fast today. Can your tool keep up as fast as the regulatory changes? This is one consideration. The second consideration is, again, it doesn't think on its own. It is very dependent on how you program it. For example, if you have a classification of a certain product, this is reality on the ground today. You have submitted the same product for a ruling. You might get different responses from different customs authority, from different countries, which AI cannot replace, because you get the different response. It may be favorable, it may be unfavorable for your business, it really depends. But every country has the right to determine how they want it to be. Yeah, so this is something to consider when you're using AI as your tools.
May I have a raise of hand? How many of you use AI to assist you in your daily work? Oh, that's very good. That's very good. But make sure that you have the human touch in it.
I use it to plan for my holiday.
Yeah, I think in every aspect today, AI is unavoidable. It helps you to collect a lot of data, informations, research. You reduce your time in doing a lot of research. But always remember, you have to use your own brain, your own judgment with the environmental issues in order to come to a conclusion what exactly is the right thing for you to proceed. Okay, the fourth questions, we are going to do it very fast. The fourth questions. Well, I think this is what I think most of the trade compliance officer would like to know. Similar to lawyers, accountants, how can a trade compliance executive be treated like this professional? I think it's very important whether we need to have some kind of recognitions or certifications so that it will become one of a standard. Like what in Japan, SysTech, I think you heard about SysTech. SysTech's in the Japanese environment, most company, if you want to be a compliance executive, you need to pass the examinations organized by SysTech. Then the company will recognize your ability and hire you. So in the rest of the region, as of today, unfortunately, we do not have that certification. So what do you think about it?
I think it's very important, it's very good to have a good, to have a standardization for certification. But some industries are so specialized that courses cannot cover this. It have to be developed in-house. Today, I want to sell some koyok here. You can join some NGO like CAPSIS as a member, where we have events throughout the years where you will invite you to get update on the regulations and its impact on the business. You can also take the very important course, SC 201, 202, and SC 102 from Singapore Customs. Very important, must take. And most importantly, every year must come to this joint industry outreach to build our network, to share knowledge. Once everybody share knowledge, we build out the capability of this trade compliance community together. Thank you.
Next slide. So yeah, for this, if you ask me personally, of course, I want to be treated like a lawyer or accountant, because trade compliance is not an easy function. We are cross-functional, and we need to know a lot of things. Agree? Agree? Yeah, we need to know how logistics flows, how the billing flows, what needs to be on document. Yeah. So just want to share that I'm a certified compliance professional, and when I attended the compliance class, so I have to go for a class. I have to go there for 1 week class and then have the exam. And then because the compliance focusing more on the finance in the past for the certification, I just attend because to me, compliance always have the same principle, regardless what industry you are. It always have the same principle. So the certifier asked me, so which industry are you coming from? So I told him that I'm from chemical. Then why you are in finance compliance? It become a kindergarten class for you. To me, like, no, because I just want to know all the main principles, because compliance, like I mentioned again, always have the same principle in compliance. So to recognize a trade compliance role as accountant or even like for lawyers to have the same recognition, yes, we need to have standardization, and maybe can be developed further sub-standardization for each industry, because every industry might have different regulations, but always come back to one thing: to comply with all requirements and regulations set up by any authorized body.
Based on my experience in the past, so prior to this role, I was a financial auditor. So it's very easy, right? The moment you know an auditor means she holds a CPA. So you know there's some form of accreditation, some form of certification. So when I embarked on the role of a trade compliance officer, I was asking my boss, where can I learn more about being a trade compliance officer? Is there a course for me to take? Aside from the courses offered by Singapore Customs and some other certification courses, I couldn't find anything. It was all logistics, supply chain, everything else but trade compliance. There's really nothing. So really, I asked myself the question, where can I actually learn about trade compliance? So with that, I actually explored in other areas where I took up Masters in Customs Law and Administration. But still, I felt that it wasn't enough. It still does not fit into the trade compliance role 100%. So unlike law or accounting, trade compliance lacks a universal recognition certification, something like certified trade compliance professional. It doesn't exist today. So something that we can think about, because when we hire someone to do the trade compliance role, it creates an inconsistency in hiring, training, and even valuing the role today, because there's no benchmark, right? So we see today so many brilliant talents and professionals navigating this complex global regulation in trade and customs environment, but really without a clear career path or even a standardized recognition. So this is something that we can consider to close the gap today.
Yeah, I think I have received many companies asking me whether ISO 9000 is good enough to certify a trade compliance officer. Perhaps some part of the ISO security could be, but strategic trade management is far beyond ISO. So this is something that we have to learn together and build it up together. And similarly, I think countries or universities offering this job only specifically looking into very narrow area, for example, customs. WCO organized such kind of certification, and FTA, we have some certification, but not on strategic trade management. So this is something I'm trying to build, And at the same time, I'm trying to look out with all of you, see whether how we can work together to come up with a more standardized system, at least for ASEAN. We can start from our own first. Well, that brings me to the last question, which is quite important, and I think just now Shafika already mentioned. Trade compliance executive usually closely linked to every single part of your company, as what everyone has been saying. So do you consider he or she as a strategist of the company to support the C-suite's management in decision making?
In the past, when there's any changes in the requirements, I would read the regulation line by line, then highlight which one will impact the company and what are the risks, then offer mitigating measures in a memo right to the boss. Then the boss will start reviewing. Now I take a step further. I become proactive rather than reactive. I read globally the news, global news, then anticipate the risks. During lunchtime, during tea break, coffee break, I talk to the boss how this risk can impact the company bottom line. Then the boss get interested in trade compliance. In that way, getting resources from the boss becomes easier. It becomes a win-win relationship. Thank you. So it's a strategist, but have strategy to get resources. No resources, very hard to work with you.
Gimon.
Thank you, George. So this question is a very unique question because I also noticed that with the recent geopolitical condition, C-suites has been talking to trade compliance role more and more. So there's a positive side. There's positive side, right? Negative side, we need to stay awake until midnight to look at the Twitter, to look at the other social media, what's going on. But C-suites recognize the role of trade compliance now, and by knowing that, we have to mitigate the risk. So C-suites can come and ask us, so based on this, what do you think? So we come out with our prediction, our prediction, what will happen? If this happen, what shall we do? If that happen, what shall we do? If not, then what else can we do? So we are become that I mentioned again, I've been keep highlighting, we are the business enabler. We need to optimize the business. We need to help. And some C-suites even come to ask me, Gimun, I need to do this, but there are a lot of regulations. What can you do? Okay, let me have a look, and I come up with a proposal. What can we do in order to get the business? So we always say, I always tell everyone that as business enabler, we can talk to the business, whatever business you can do, but under this compliance requirement. So that's very critical.
To be a strategist, you need to be proactive first. Yeah, so if you are still being in a role of a trade compliance but very reactive, and you're not getting that kind of support that you get from the organization, then there's no way that you can be a strategist. So to be a strategist, you firstly need to be very proactive. So the minority companies that I've spoken to who put trade compliance as the leader in front of all functions, these are the ones that move faster today in this very evolving and very fluid environment. They are the ones that scale smarter, and they are also the ones that sleep better. I say this because I remember many, many years ago when I was working on a country of origin management tool where I built for the entity from scratch. The business was asking, why do we need this information for? And we were working on free trade agreements and also export control, which is very important. The country of origin, the IP, the technology, where it's coming from, it has to be maintained very clearly. But today, if you look at today, because we have this system in place, the reciprocal tariffs does not really affect us because we know where the products are coming from right at your fingertips. It's all in the database. It's very easy to retrieve and make that decision. So I think to be able to be a strategist, you need to be proactive.
Yeah, thank you. I think very importantly is majority of the trade compliance officers, you are doing a, how should I put it, firefighting. Whatever happened, you fight for it. So, and some of the trade compliance officers were sitting in the positions where you are waiting for the business to come to you. And you are not proactive. You are waiting for the business to come to you. If you have problems, you come to me. So it's kind of a bureaucratic role in some of the companies which I have come across. So under that kind of situation, as what Shafika mentioned, it is very difficult for the company to progress. Particularly as of today, things change almost every day. You have to keep up to date of what is going to happen. And it is the trade compliance officer's duty, responsibility to understand what is going to impact the company. Which country you want your company to invest in during this trade war? Which country's regulatory is the best suits your industry? So all these require trade compliance contributions in finding out what is happening surrounding you and what kind of incentive that the country is providing. So all this require who? You, to proactively make your own research before things happen. So I think this is a very, very important point and role for the strategy. And by doing so, you are creating your own value career upwards. Nobody is helping you to create your career path, frankly speaking, in your company. Nobody. It's you yourself have to create your own career path, which I experience it myself. I see what is happening in the industry. So it is your responsibility if you have the passion in pursuing this role in the trade compliance, and you have to be a strategist for the company and for yourself. That's the only way to get a higher salary. Okay, with that, I would like to open up to our floor for your questions. I think, Jesu, you will help me to do so.
Okay, yes, thank you, George. There are a couple of questions from the crowd. Let's pick some, and I'll pose it to the panels, and then you all can discuss it. The first question is one I think that's directed to all three panelists. What automation tools are available in trade compliance beside automated screening? So perhaps maybe all of you can tell us, what are you doing in the area of automation apart from screening?
One of the challenges I have in trade compliance is doing proper product classification. I am the trade compliance officer, but I may not be as specialized as the engineer who designed the item. So what I did was to get the control list and they go line by line, working with the engineers. Does it fulfill this requirement, that requirement? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Is it being catched? Is it being released? Then make a final conclusion with the product managers, department managers, that this is the product classification. But actually this can be done in-house with the IT department. That's why I make good relationship with the IT. Get them in as a project. Improvement projects. Company love projects. Projects, this is one of the lobang I can share with you. Do these projects. So next time when you have a product that you need to classify, instead of going through the whole hassle or spending hours, use the automation tool, which can give you accuracy, not 100%, but around 90%. Then you make your final decisions. So the answer to your question is develop your in-house tools, because some of the tools are very specialized. Don't have other ready-made product for this classification. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for the question. Actually, what kind of automation that we can do? There are a lot actually. Even though over-the-counter software, you can have a lot of software that can help you to do the automation. And another thing is it's not promoting, but this based on my experience. I've been utilizing GTS in the past, and I've been creating the module in GTS as well for free trade agreement and access code automation as well. So once people classify, then the system will just do the rest. For the free trade agreement, it can help you when you build automation system within 5 minutes. You will know whether your shipment can fulfill the free trade agreement, and it can generate the certificate automatically as well. So a lot of automation, even though now in the current company, we are using because we are in Google environment, so we are using the Google App Script to automate a lot of things. Like one of the automation that I have done, which I asked the AI to do, is to do the record keeping, record retention. So there are a lot of automation you can do. What you need to do, what you need, and start searching the market or ask your IT internally as well.
You buy one, get 3 free, that one.
I think it boils down on which sector or industry you are operating in. And depending on the complexity of your product, some products you can use off the shelf, some you need to have a middle ground where you buy the tool or the software and then you also implement into your in-house ERP system. GTS is one of the great tools that I've worked with so far, where it provides you an empty box. You can do a partial automation and partial software update or upload, and how you want it to be done. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Basic, there's always something off the shelf. But if you want very specific to your product, specific sector, you will need to have to customize it.
The next question, George, is a question that often comes up in every forum that we attend. Know your client. How many layers of relationships are you expected to go through? Often the regulators will tell you it may be to the nth level depending on the sensitivity of the item. But the question as posed to the panel is, how many layers of parent company searches and subsidiaries do you go through? So maybe to Gimun and Alan, what's your number?
The BIS affiliates rules let you go through layer to the deepest layer. So depending on your...
But the affiliates rule has been suspended. Just...
Oh, okay, not updated, sorry. How many layers? It's very hard to answer because you have to depend on the scope of the business. That what is the product, whether the product origin from where, who is the customers. You have to go through all the sanction lists to determine.
Yeah, for us is it depends on who we sell to, and we need to know who owns the company. So up to, even though like we have to drag like from the child from the very bottom, we have to drag up to the topmost. How many layers? We do not know, because we don't know how many layers that the company and the shareholder who owns it, how many layers we do not know. So that's how we do it.
Both of you all sound like the lawyers, which is it depends. No magic number yet. There are a couple of really good questions here, and please, Rafika. Oh yes, please.
I just want to let you know that it depends on the industry you're in. It is very important. Let's say if you are in the semiconductor industry where distribution business is most of the semiconductor industry, then you have to drill down to the dealers level, distributors level. So it all depends on the business that you're in.
Yes, I think that's always fair. It really depends. There's a question here that I don't want to misunderstand. Currently, the way it's framed leaves a couple of things for clarification. I believe the question is being asked, product classification is one important factor to determine tariff rate, but we all understand that tariff rates are determined by countries. So product classification, the question seems to be, how are you handling the latest rule imposed by customs via Chamber of Commerce to prove your product is made in Singapore? My understanding is that the question sounds to be, how are you handling the variance in the region with certificates, non-preferential certificates of origin? Malaysia and a few other countries have come out to indicate that MITI is now the provisioner of these certificates, non-preferential certificates of origin. Singapore, I believe, has not done so. So what are your reactions to that aspect?
I think Shafika, you can answer this, right?
Okay, I answer this. We get this every day, every single day, without fail. Can you determine that my product is eligible to be made in Singapore, or country of origin Singapore, or Malaysia, or certain jurisdiction? I just want to put it out very clearly today so that I think our customs authorities here will also agree. Every country would have their own way or method to determine the country of origin. For Singapore, it's the 25% and the substantial transformation. Another country may come out with something else. And if your product is specifically going to the US and you're doing this because you're going to ship to the US, please take note the US has the right to determine the country of origin based on their understanding and their regulation. They can choose not to accept the certificate of origin and they can do their own ruling, how they want it to be. So be mindful. If you are going to be creative coming to us and asking to calculate the country of origin for Singapore, just for the sake of getting that entry ticket or a pass into US, it's not going to happen.
Great.
Okay? Yeah.
Yes, I think Shafika is absolutely right. The non-preferential certificates of origin issued by ASEAN member states are not a determining factor conclusively. It's for the customs and border protection of any other country to provide its final determination. So I'm grateful that that clarification has come out. There are still some more questions. Maybe this pertains to something that was quite lively on stage concerning education and training. I read the question as framed. The courses offered by Singapore Customs has been outsourced to Polytechnic, which is basic and not meant for complex issue encountered in the day-to-day job. Any suggestions? So I think all of you have covered training, and Ellen in particular, you mentioned the Singapore Customs available courses. You also sold us some koyo, as you said. But maybe can you tell us in a short response, what are means for high-quality programs? Let me also take the opportunity to sell some koyo. The National University of Singapore has got a program that's upcoming, which I have the privilege of leading. So for those of you who want something hardcore, NUS has got something for you.
When it comes to compliance, you must establish the correct baseline. If you do not have the correct baseline, then whatever you learn in future may not be correct. So the Singapore Custom course provide you the baseline. That is where I started from 7 years ago. Then I built on to the baseline by engaging with the people, because the people offer you what are the real problem on the ground, and your value is how to solve their problems effectively, because budget is also one of the key consideration. So in order to build a value, the question is the cost enough? Is the cost, yes, is the cost is good enough?
Where can you go for these courses?
Where can you go for Nanyang Poly? You have it?
No, not Nanyang. I mean, more advanced.
A more advanced course,
Advanced.
Jesu, you have the information. Share with me later. Thank you.
I think it's very gracious of Alan. I agree, having attended the courses offered by Singapore Customs through the Polytechnics, that is a very foundational start. And indeed, you need the basics right. And for those of us in the organization, it allows for your officers to upskill across the board. Because job upskilling, you require the basics to at least be understood before you can start running. But for those of us who want to know more, the internet and your generative AI will probably prompt you with available options. But Gimon, where does your organization get advanced programs made available for your team? Where do you get that from?
Where we get from? We generate it internally.
Generally?
Yeah, we generate internally, where we make the program internally. And for the previous few organizations that I'm working for, there's no out there program that you can attend for advanced trade compliance. You have to go in, because trade compliance is not just function like for the custom clearance or certificate of origin. No, you have to know legal as well. Sure. You have to know legal. You need to know how to read the legal text and other requirements as well. So it depends on what requirement, but most likely if you can generate the program internally to educate your people in the organization, that should be okay. But then again, the foundation is very critical. Like Singapore Custom provided the courses, is the foundation. You need people to learn the advanced model. You have to know the basic first, the basic, yeah.
I agree that Singapore Customs provide a very foundation course, and it's important because I've spoken to many who don't even bother to read the Singapore Customs website where all the information are made available. Not only just Singapore Customs website, there are other countries' website which people don't even bother to read. So they say, where can I get all this information? So you tell them it's there. You know, you hit your AI, your ChatGPT, everything is vomited out. You just need to check the source. Is it from a reliable source, which is the customs website? That's your number one, page one. Then you ask yourself, is it applicable to your industry or your product? If yes, you can take the answers. If no, maybe write to customs, ask some questions. And I think the third area is back to what they mentioned just now, is to have an in-house expert to develop these training materials, right? And if you cannot, you can look for me now. I can develop trainings for you.
Okay.
Selling Goyo again, eh?
Well, there are two questions. There's still a couple of questions, and I'm trying to group the most popular one with something slightly less popular. The question goes along the lines as this. So trade compliance, all of you on the panel had mentioned its importance, and the question is, how can you make management be aware of your critical function? And this speaks to, within cross-border comparison across at least 8 to 10 countries, management commitment is identified as an element of a ICP from a national perspective. So how is it that you can manifest management commitment to your role? And maybe tell us a practical example. Your bosses may tell you, yes, we need you to be compliant, we need the following things done. How is the process reflective of management commitment? Is the question I suppose you can answer. And by doing so, you may answer the next question, which is, how are you dealing with the recruitment-related challenges in hiring experienced trade compliance professionals?
I take this first. I'm going to talk from my industry experience 15 years ago. When I started this role, I have no idea what is trade compliance. Again, I say, I really have no idea, zero. From ground zero, I was hired as the first FTE to contribute and build the Asia Pacific Trade and Customs team. So you can imagine how much responsibility was on me, and it was so overwhelming. I wanted to quit the job after 6 months because my boss left 6 months later, and I was left all alone to rein the entire operations myself. And I have a president who said that, who the hell is this lady? She don't even know anything. How are we going to do anything? She's new, she doesn't know anything. So again, being proactive is very important. And by being proactive, I started to take up courses, I started reading intensively, I started learning from the different industry outreach like this, what we have today. We also have many other consultant or legal firms holding roundtable sessions. Also the NGOs, organization, and also the people like Jesu and his team, right? So, I mean, you can also have dialogues with your authorities. They are more than willing to come into the organization and share with you on all the different regulatory or policy or the framework itself. So this is where it all started. And again, hiring. If you don't know what you want, how are you going to hire? You need to know what the organization needs. Then you can hire the right talent to join you on board. And I'm very proud because I developed a team of 14, 15, and they are all nothing. They are also from ground zero. They joined the organization without any trade and customs or any knowledge whatsoever. But they are still standing today as a trade compliance or customs specialist who can classify, who understand what is the country of origin, able to determine country of origin, who can do export control and classify the products, who understands the import and export regulation. So this is the extensive amount of time and knowledge that you need to impart and invest in building the talent. Yeah.
Any
And
comment?
Imon, you have 30 seconds. But I think that's a really helpful overview from Shafiqah. I think that's great.
I write quarterly newsletter so that the management can read. Management very busy, but sometimes they like to read when they are in the plane, so they can print out and read. So to get them to be aware of what's happening and get them interested to provide resources. And second thing, you need to have very supportive boss so that you can hire and retain talent. I'm very thankful that my boss, supportive boss, are here today also. Thank you.
Yep. Let me just add. Sorry. On top of what Alan, yeah, we also issue a new newsletter, quarterly newsletter to everyone, to leadership as well. And the most important thing is proof to the organization what trade compliance can deliver to improve the bottom line. Then the role become more important.
Thank you. I'm reminded that we are out of time. George, they said
Sure.
time's up.
Okay, I would just like to wrap up this session. From the very beginning, Sue Mori-san, as well as Tek Leong, has mentioned about the evolvement of trade compliance today. And what exactly we need to take care of is the due diligence, as what Feroz mentioned. And what are these due diligence? First is the products. You must understand the products well, the origins of the products, what kind of regulation it may be subjected to. Second is, where are you sending these products to, right? The destination, whether it is a sanctioned country or is a least sensitive country. And third is, who is the person or the organization that you are sending to, right? The screening of your customer and how many layers subject to your industry. So if you do not know what your industry, to what level you need to screen, you may ask any one of us. And fourth is the licensing, whether you require a license or not. You need to consult with the authority. And the last one, very important, and many companies miss out, is where is the source of payment, which is what we are talking about, the proliferation financing. And it is extremely important. And you know, banks can trace up to at least 3 levels of the sources of the income, of the money it comes from. So it is possible for the organization to carry out all this due diligence. And with your proactive actions in order to stand up your role as a trade compliance officers and to build your own career path. And with that, I'd like to give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to the panelists. I invite you to return to your seats. And as they return, since it had come up, you may want to also know that the Singapore Business Federation has the Center for Future Trade and Investment. They will be having a competency framework and rolling out a variety of programs for those of you who are interested in looking for high-quality programs. Visit as well the center. You'll have a competency framework that the center will be working together with SBF on. Now, with all that said, I stand before you and lunch. I'm not going to do that for very much longer. The buffet lines are going to be waiting for you as soon as these doors open, and all of you are invited to partake in a sumptuous meal prepared by the chefs in Shangri-La, and you will return to this main ballroom when you hear that chime. Please return punctually so that we can resume for our next session, which is the international updates. We are going to receive updates from the European Union, Japan, and the Republic of Korea. Those are the only announcements I have. And for the speakers and our distinguished guests, please join me at the Waterfall Restaurant, which is by the poolside. What you have to do is you have to walk out all the way to the hotel lobby, take the escalator down, and walk past the pool. The speakers will continue to do more work. All right, with that said, bon appetit. Thank you.